Hello everyone, my name is Clement and I'm here to introduce the platform that I've led, Tangible Data. And so to begin, I want to talk a bit about the motivation behind running this design platform. And so firstly, I think we can all agree that every day we are confronted with an overwhelming amount of data to make sense of. And the pandemic has really made this more prominent and more obvious. Public health data that was once only required it's only required that experts understand. Right now, the same public health data is disseminated to the public, and we are expected to be able to understand it and understand why certain policies are made because of the data that is coming out of the pandemic. And so that's the first motivation. The second motivation is really this notion of data literacy. Some of you who might have seen the revamped NUS curriculum would see that data literacy is one of the core skills that all NUS students are required to take. And really it's becoming an essential skill for anyone who wants to operate in contemporary industries, particularly those in the STEM sector, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so with that in mind, this platform looks at two different audiences, right? So on one hand, for designers, because this is a design platform, how do we develop in designers the confidence and skills required for designing for these really complex, what I call bottomless data sets, right? Data sets that are huge, such as big data, data sets where there's lots of information is coming in at real time. So how do designers gain the confidence and skills to design for such data sets? And then looking outwards, right, for humans, how can we design and develop data representations that enable people, enable the public, enable a certain target audience to understand and make sense of complex and intangible data, right? How, for instance, at the start of this platform, students looked at this notion of flattening the curve that came about due to the pandemic. They had to make sense of what does it mean to flatten the curve, what is a curve in the first place, and how do you represent it in a way that the public can better understand the implications of flattening the curve. So that was the motivation behind why I decided to run this platform. And in terms of deliverables, so students first had to identify a data set or data type, including defining the structure of this data set, the variables concerning each data point, and the relationship between different data points in the set. From there, they had to collect the data and clean it. And for those people who are actually working on data that was coming in real time, they had to develop and deploy a collection mechanism. And finally, students brainstormed and built different tangible representations of this data set to enable people to explore the data and to derive some insight from the data. And so in total, we have 8 projects. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but suffice to say, I'm just really happy with the variety, the diversity of different data sets that students are working on. And so definitely look at their videos and come to our demo day if you have the time. I'm more than happy to hear your thoughts on each of these projects. But before I end, I just want to talk about some of the values that were emphasized in this platform. And so the first platform value that was really emphasized is this notion of tangible, right? From the name of the platform, Tangible Data. And tangible really is describing this notion that data is often intangible, and so how can we make intangible data more tangible? A lot of attention in design has been given to data or information visualization as one way to make this abstract, intangible thing more tangible. What other forms can data take beyond visualization? How do we interact with data? How can we leverage both our physical and digital worlds in interacting with data? And so the second prominent platform value that we explored was this notion of data as a material. And this stems from us being a division of industrial design, right? And so industrial designers, we are adept at uncovering the affordances of a material and shaping it in creative ways to make artifacts, right? And so how can we treat data as a material, just like a physical material. What are the affordances that a particular data set offer for design? And what are designerly ways of working with data? And so as students were creating and were dealing with their specific data sets, at a meta level, they were also considering how to approach data in a designerly way, in contrast to, say, data science or data analytics. And finally, and this is more pertaining to data itself, a data set often is computed, and in the news, we often look at we are often presented with aggregated meaning that a statistician or like an analyst, the meanings that they have derived out of a data set. And so these aggregated meanings are a powerful way to inform decision making, but yet a single data point may also offer a really rich story, right? And so as the saying goes, right, we shouldn't miss the forest for the trees. Similarly, we shouldn't be missing the trees for the forest, right? And so how do we design for both the forest and the trees when it comes to data? And what's a good balance between aggregated meaning out of a data set and celebrating the kind of rich stories behind each data point? And so with all that in mind, I hope you enjoy watching the outcomes of this platform. And do reach out to me if you have any questions or feedback about this platform, and I'm more than happy to discuss them with you. Thank you and enjoy.